All right, everyone, welcome back to Squid Talk. Today we have a big guest. I've been really excited about this one for a while. James Dumoulin from the School of Hard Knocks. This kid has interviewed a huge list of people that are extremely successful. So I feel like I'm going to get to learn a lot about these people through him and also about him and his story. Very excited to have you, bro. Why don't you do us a huge favor and give us like a little backstory? First, I guess, where did you come from? Where did this entrepreneurial spirit come from? When did that start in your life? And then kind of lead us into like how this entire business started. Because I think this is not only something, really cool for you to do, but something that's going to help a lot of people, has helped a lot of people. And I want to give everyone a chance to get that introduction to you.
Absolutely. First of all, Lukas, thank you so much for having me on the podcast today. I've been a big fan of your content for a while as well. And I'll just kind of give a background on myself and kind of how we were able to build this media empire that I like to call it to where it is now. My name is James Dumoulin. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, born in Northern Virginia, moved around a lot as a kid. I lived in South Korea from 6 to 10. My dad ran the largest overseas military base in the entire world in Camp Humphreys, which is a city. It's the military base in Pyeongtaek in South Korea. So I grew up from an early age. I saw my dad leading tens of thousands of people in the military. So never was a business person by any means and has never been an entrepreneur. But at the same time, it's like he instilled a lot of those values of discipline and leadership in me from an early age that I saw. So when I moved back to the DC area, I lived there from about 10 to 18. And one thing that I'll note about being from the DC area is that it's a very structured city. It's very centered around a lot of government jobs, a lot of contracting. I tell people it's like, if you want to go into politics, go be a legislative correspondent, go work for the secretary or the Department of Justice, Department of Agriculture. It's like DC's the place to be. You want to work for a federal agency, you want to go, work in contracting, like you got to go to DC. That's the place to be. But at an early age, I was traveling all around the world, and I was realizing that the only way that you can really, travel and have that freedom is if you do something for yourself. At the same time, I didn't know what exactly it would be yet. I was very inspired by how my dad was in the military. I had wanted to go that route. Ultimately, the turning point was when my brother, I'd mentioned to you earlier, had won a world championship in Microsoft Excel. So he beat over 2 million people. And he realized at a young age that he had to protect himself from a business standpoint. So started to get really savvy with the business side of things. And throughout watching him throughout that entire process, I started to realize, man, and starting to see some of the opportunities he was getting into, it's like there is so much potential like in entrepreneurship, and being that like he was moving to a great city, it's like there's so much opportunity there as well. Fast forward a little bit, I'd say around 2020, I got super heavily into content creation and realized that, there's creators out there that are posting content about things that they love, and they're finding ways to monetize them, to really make like a full-time income just by posting content. It's super simple. And I went kind of all in with that. It was super consistent and ended up growing my like personal TikTok to like 800,000 followers in about a year. I had 1 month where I went up like 300,000 followers.
That's a crazy rise that early. Yeah. Usually there's like a huge not even the exact opposite of a growth spurt. Yeah. It's like it takes a long time for you to figure it out.
It does.
But when you first started, sorry to interrupt you, but when you first started, was it like I know what this is going to be? Did you have everything in mind of where you wanted to take this?
Not
or were
at all.
you just
Not
like,
at all.
I just like talking to cool people and I want to record it and hopefully somebody else takes it.
So this is my like personal channel that I'm talking about. So that was my introduction to content, was growing my like personal TikTok channel. And I had a lot of success early on then, and realized that the stuff that I was making, I wasn't like super passionate about. So I kind of had halted making content at that channel. And it was around the same time that I was getting ready to move out to Austin when my brother and I, and who is now our third partner, we had seen a good friend of ours, Joshua Smith. So the channel, The School of Hard Knocks, is ran by 3 of us. It's me, my brother, and our third partner, Josh Smith. We were all in the same Boy Scout troop together. We all became Eagle Scouts, and our dads actually served in Iraq together. We didn't even know it at the time, but he had pitched to us prior to us permanently moving out to Austin to go to school, we should consider like doing something together. And we planted the seeds there, and we realized that, hey, there's a lot of potential here. So my third partner, Josh, who had dropped out of school to pursue a digital marketing agency, he was entrepreneurial in that sense that he was running his own business. My brother was being mentored by a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company at 20 years old, ended up doing his own thing. I was doing content. So we all had different skill sets.
Yeah.
I focused in organic content. Third partner, Josh, was a lot of like digital paid marketing. My brother, Jack, was huge into like analytics. And so throughout those skill sets, we're like, there's something valuable that we could probably bring to the table. We landed on content because the creator economy is projected to be a $500 billion industry by 2027. And you look at people like Chamath, the guy that took Facebook to 1 billion users. He says that content creators are going to be the next billionaires in today's world. It's a fact. And I fully believe it. It's digital real estate. So with that, we created a channel called The School of Hard Knocks, where we were just making content about business among the three of ourselves. So, we grew it to about 25,000 followers, where we were talking about lessons of other entrepreneurs. And this is just us making the content, telling some of our own stories. But we quickly realized that as three young 20-year-old kids, people don't give a shit about you talking about business. Now, can you do it? Sure. But it's like, we're not figureheads yet. Like you need to really establish yourself and build that credibility. We had a ways to go in our career. And that was the humbleness and understanding that is, I feel like, what really helped us build this thing. And so we realized that one thing that we're great at, we're not afraid to approach people or go start those conversations. And so we love to network and build relationships. And I'm a big believer that no matter where somebody comes from, their background or what industry that they're in, it's like we have something that we can learn from everybody. So we started the channel just going up to random people around the street in downtown Austin. We go to the wealthiest areas in the city, the financial district, Westlake Hills, and really just having conversations, and would just make interview and do content out of it. It took off. It really did. And that enabled us to grow the channel to over 2.3 million followers now, and been able to interview people like Mark Cuban, the president of Nike, the CEO of Frito-Lay, Grant Cardone.
I saw the president of Nike one.
Yeah.
That one really touched my heart a lot.
Yeah.
Because I love Nike. I mean, my business is the same industry and everything. And I think the concept behind your brand, what you guys are doing is so special because everyone wants to learn about how to get to the level of the people they admire, right? But a lot of these business people, entrepreneurs, anyone that's successful, a lot of people don't like to be in the spotlight. They don't like to share, their habits, their tricks, their best advice, and you're providing the perfect outlet for them, right? They don't have to fully, go in and expose themselves or anything, but you're asking them the right questions. You're showing it to the right people. I feel like a big part of your audience is probably young individuals, right? Who, aspire to be successful. And so they love watching these guys that you're interviewing. I mean, I love it myself. Every time I see your face, I see your channel, whether it's a YouTube short or a TikTok, I pause and I watch it because it's interesting. And I also just want to say the fact that you're working with your brother is sick.
Yeah.
Because my business, I don't know if you know this, is with my cousin. And he's one of my best friends. And I think it's such a special thing when you can partner up and essentially, in a way, go into battle with, someone you love and someone you've grown up with and trust most of all, because business is shady sometimes. People fuck each other over and it can get violent in a way.
And a lot of people will warn against that and advise not to go into business with friends and family. But it's at the end of the day, it's if you know that you are morally sound people, that you guys at the end of the day have each other's best interests, and that if everything were to fall apart, that you guys would still be able to have that relationship and love one another, then that's the most important thing.
100%. And I think a lot of people do get into a bad partnership with someone, whether it is a family member or a brother, or that same thing, family member or a friend or a peer, because they create that partnership based on the relationship and not on their actual skill sets. Right. It sounds like your brother was a stud already and you were okay, this would make sense even if we weren't brothers. It just so happens that we are. And that's what makes the relationship so special. And it also kind of seems like you being, the digital marketing side of it, you're kind of the face, I'm assuming, right? I always see you're the one interviewing people. Would you say you're kind of the Steve Jobs and he's the Steve Wozniak, and or you him and the other partner are the behind the scenes guy? Yeah,
absolutely. So my third partner Josh handles a lot of the back end things. We also have an agency as well. So a lot of the entrepreneurs that we interview, we build personal brands for people. Mm-hmm. We've been able to scale. We've generated, the three of us, over 900 million views in the last 3 years.
Wild.
So between Hard Knocks, my personal accounts, and we've ran some other accounts that we've scaled to several hundred thousands of followers. So we've done over 900 million views. So my third partner Josh is primarily back end fulfillment. My brother Jack does a lot with sales, and then I'm primarily face. I do all the media and stuff like that. So
that's great. You need people for specific things. So many people try and do something on their own. They try and go at it solo, because I heard this great expression the other day. So many people want 100% of the grape, but they're not even interested in the idea of having half of the watermelon. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you really are going to succeed and have a much better chance of success. And it's a lot more fun when you have partners that can do what you're not good at, and you guys can all balance together. But that brings me to my first big question. And this one hits home to me, so I'm curious your experience. When you were first starting this, you said you were like 17, 18 when you first started content?
Yeah, 18. Yeah.
Did you receive support or criticism, hate? Did people talk shit when you were first starting, before you had views, before, like when you first made your, few dozen videos?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is, and that's some of the best advice that I feel like any content creator can receive, is just to like not get discouraged from other people. I didn't really, I think, directly receive anybody come and tell me that, hey, you're corny, but I 100% know that indirectly, I'm sure in some group chats, like people were like talking some crazy shit. But at the end of the day it's like, as long as you can just like think bigger and realize that it's like, views and all that results that you get from it, it speaks for itself. And I was just always a believer that like, I've never met a hater that's doing better than me. And any like actual person that's like hating on you for like trying to like build something, for getting out of your comfort zone, it's like, bro, they're going to be stuck in a box their entire life.
They're a loser.
They are.
They're a loser. They have so much time on their hands that they want to watch your life and criticize you.
Right.
Because they can't criticize themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like with that, I would just say, I definitely did receive it. Like I said, not directly, because I wouldn't have like tolerated nobody like putting down like what I was doing.
For sure.
But I 100%, know that it was out there and it was noted. But that would just inspire me to just do more, to just be more consistent and just build more, and realize that like I've always thought like bigger picture. And that's another great thing too, is like, because I traveled so much, I've always viewed things from a global lens instead of like a narrow view. A lot of people in my home state, they never left Virginia or they never left the DC area. And because of that, it's like they never really were able to think outside of that. And to me, it's just like, no, I could always go bigger. I could always do more. The people, a couple people tweaking in, giving their feedback, and maybe it's negative. It's just like I always was able to block that out.
What about close people in your life? Direct friends, family. I know you said your dad was huge military. Yeah. What'd your mom do?
My mom, so she, at the beginning of her career, she went to UT, graduated. She was exercise science. She was actually huge into fitness. Like she was on magazine covers all over the world. So she was doing that. But then she started to get into where she would train like really big, whether it be like special ops military people. She trained like David Robinson, who's like a Hall of Fame basketball player. So she trained like really big groups of like people, athletes, special ops, military people. So she was primarily in like fitness. And then as her career progressed and she kind of got out of that space, when my dad was in the military and she was still working, she would work on like kind of like health promotion. So she would work on like campaigns against various cancers or stuff like that.
So your parents are both very ambitious in their own fields.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were they supportive of your endeavors? It's a very new and I mean, social media is a very new concept. A lot of older people can't understand that like you can somehow make money off of like making videos and stuff like that. So what was that like?
Absolutely. It's just like you said, that they don't understand this concept that like you can actually like make money from your phone, but you really can. And at the beginning, initially, they were very hesitant, especially that my brother had kind of left the job with Buc-ee's where he's is set up to make multi six figures at 21, 22 years old, right out of college, have that security, have those benefits. And there were definitely some times in our household where they were like, kind of like, what are you doing and all this and that. But we had like a burning passion and a desire for what we were doing and to really go all in on ourselves. And what you realize is that you only have the ability to take those chances and risk at an early age. Because the older you get, the more responsibilities, you start to settle down. It's like you don't have that ability. And it's a great point is like we were just with Justin Waller in Miami. One of the things that he said was someone was asking him about how, they're like, hey man, I'm 38, I'm 40, I've got like 2 kids, I've got like a wife and a family, but like I don't like my job and I want to go do my own thing. And the advice that Justin told him was like, I'm sorry, man, I don't have anything to tell you. Yeah. Because it's true, man. Like you get to a certain point.
It's not too late, but it's hard. It's really hard.
Right. It isn't too late. And I would agree with that. But you get to a certain point where it is a lot harder. And so I think by us just really, we made a lot of sacrifices as far as like how we decided our time. Like we didn't go out. And that's the thing too, is like a lot of people think that you can't necessarily do like college and entrepreneurship. We were both living proof that we could. We built, profitable businesses while in school. We gave up the partying.
For sure.
And that's the thing is you have to sacrifice.
I think let me know your opinion of this. I like to think that you can only prioritize 3 big things at a time. One of them, and so like if you're in college, One of them would definitely be academics. One of them would be health and fitness.
Yes.
And then a third one would be whatever else you want. Like for me, for example, I did, my fitness was really important. So I was like training, doing jujitsu, working out all the time. And then I was also very social. So I did get to go out.
Yeah.
And I was also building a business and a social media. But I had to give up academics. Like I didn't show up to class or do any of that. I didn't have like a girlfriend, and that would have been a huge distraction as well.
Right.
I like to think that you can really only have 2 or 3 main priorities, and you're gonna have to, get rid of something. Like you can't have a girlfriend, work out, have a successful business, hang out with your friends, go to class. Like you just can't manage all those things.
You can't.
You have to pick your priorities.
And if you are, then you're going to be so much weaker in all those areas. And that's why focus is so important, especially like in business. But like if you try to, do a bunch of different things, like you're going to be maybe okay at all those things. Whereas it's like you said, if you can dial in at like 2 or 3 things and you put your focus there, then you're going to really be able to build and be so much better at those.
100%. And I'm even trying to get better at that myself, because I'm sure you get this all the time, but I'm not even near as big as you in terms of total exposure and total time in the industry, but I have so many people reach out like, I have this business we should work on, and I want to do this and I want to do this. And I got to say no to a lot of opportunities that seem really cool and enticing, because at some point, like I've been told over and over, you got to focus on like one thing and really hone in on that, as opposed to like trying to build several things at the same time. I'd love to think that I can do what Elon Musk is doing, build multiple companies at the same time. But this early on, I feel like you do really need to focus on one thing, get really good at it, and give it your all to see if that can succeed. And that's obviously what you guys have been doing. It's going very well. So you go around and you interview extremely successful people. It seems like a lot of them actually don't happen to be in the social scene. Like they aren't well known, they aren't famous or public. Is there someone in particular that you think is like the most who's the most famous person that you've ever interviewed or met?
I'd say from like an entrepreneur perspective, maybe Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
I know Grant
sure.
Cardone has over 16 million collective followers. We sat down with him. We went out to his Miami headquarters and spent some time with him out there. I'd say the 2 of them right now. We have some really big people lined up like in the near future as well. But I think them 2 right now would probably be maybe like the most known people.
And what were the main takeaways from that? I can only imagine, because I think Mark Cuban, he's probably one of my top 3, I think, coolest people that I would like, if I had to pick idols or someone I look up to. Mark Cuban's for sure one of them. What was like the biggest takeaway from him?
Learn how to sell. Learn how to sell. And that's the thing is this is so important. Beyond just being able to sell like a product or service, it's knowing how to sell yourself. So for example, like Gary Vee can walk into any company's headquarter and close a $50 million deal with any company because he's Gary Vee, because people buy from people that they like. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what you're selling. You could be selling cars, you could be selling paper clips. It doesn't matter. Like, bro, people are going to buy from people that they trust and that they genuinely like. Same thing with Elon Musk. Elon Musk can walk into any major tech headquarters and take it over because of the brand that he's built himself. So learning how to sell from an early age, and that's the advice that Mark said. Like I asked him like the advice that he'd tell his younger self, and it was like, be a salesperson, sell and learn everything you can about business early on. Just because it's just gonna, if you know how to sell, man, you're gonna be set. You can take everything else away from you, but you'll be able to build it all back with that skill set.
I personally think you'd agree with this as well. The best way to sell yourself today is by having a personal brand. Yes. Because like opportunities will just come your way when people know that you yourself are a product.
You have leverage.
You have huge leverage. And a lot of my content is trying to encourage other people to make content too, because you don't need to be famous. You don't need to, have hundreds of thousands or millions of followers. But even if you have like 10, 20, 30,000 and it's a really great audience of people and you're providing value, like you are playing a really important role. And it's so much better than like a LinkedIn, for example. Like I fucking hate LinkedIn, and I want to make a company to take them down one day because I just feel like it's so outdated. Yeah. Everyone lies. You can't actually get a real read on someone. But like if someone brought your name up and I was like, I want to, learn more about this guy, I could probably find out everything I need to, all the important things, just from seeing who you are, how you carry yourself, how you speak. I mean, it's clear that you're like a great salesman. And it's because you've built that personal brand through social media. So I think that's like one of the most valuable things you could do today. as far as getting good at it, I think you gotta start somewhere, right? Do you feel like when you first started making content, were you good at it? Did it come naturally, or was it just like absolutely atrocious, super cringe?
It's funny because we'll look back on like all of our old videos and we'll be like this is some dog shit, like genuinely. But that's the progression, and you learn and you just continue to double down on what works, and you continue to like innovate. That's one of the most important things, especially about with like what we did with Hard Knocks, is that I would say that because we started the channel back in 2021, so we were kind of some of the early pioneers in like the street interview scene.
100%.
Yeah,
I remember I saw your videos back towards the end of COVID, and now everyone does it. You have like the car guy, goes up to the car. You have
I'll give him his dues. Daniel Mack was 100% the original one. However,
really? Okay.
The one thing about Daniel Mack is that that's purely entertainment. Like if you binge watch Daniel Mack content, you're not going to get a lot of value. And so that was one thing that like I was like, like we can go up to people in cars, we can go up to people on the street, but like let's really try to find a way to provide value, to kind of serve as like a mentors at scale. And that was another root of why we created the channel, was that we were very blessed with great mentors. I mentioned my dad. Was a very successful military officer, retired as a colonel. My uncle had exited a company for $3.5 billion. So like I had great mentors.
You didn't tell me that. That's why.
Yeah, I had a lot of great mentors around me in my life. And that's the thing, is a lot of our peers didn't have that where we were from. So like a big thing, and plus if you look at financial literacy, there's just a big lack of it in schools today. They don't teach you the difference between owning and renting a home. They don't teach the importance of maintaining good credit. There's a genuine lack of it. And that's an industry that if you can find a way to innovate, build some sort of platform in that space, I think that there's a lot of money to be made in financial literacy. And especially, it genuinely, there's a big problem with people. They go to college, they have no idea what they want to do. They get out in the real world and they're lost.
Yeah.
So that was a huge root of kind of like why we started the channel.
Dude, that's great. And because I think, being an entrepreneur, it can be so lonely and isolating. And, you might have like business classes in college, but I'm sure as you kind of experienced yourself, they don't teach you a whole lot about entrepreneurship. The coursework is pretty basic.
Yeah.
It's how to work for someone. Mm-hmm. And so it can really be like intimidating to become an entrepreneur or try doing something on your own. But 100%, like your content gives a shit ton of value because it really gives you like some deep information on how to get good in certain industries, whereas some of the other guys are more entertainment, like you said. I know Noah Kagan is another guy that I've recently seen.
He's awesome.
He's in Austin here too, right? Yeah,
he is in Austin.
Awesome. Yeah, no, he's a stud. I want to know, where did the name come from?
Yeah.
Like how did that come?
So man, we were, brainstorming just over like a week, I'd say. It wasn't like an overnight thing that came to us, but we were like, how can we come up with, so essentially the School of Hard Knocks is like learning life's hardest lessons from other people. So like, what are the lessons that people went through on their career in the professional field, whatever they're working in, whether it was real estate, it doesn't matter, tech, but like, what are those lessons that they learned that they'd be able to pass down? So like the School of Hard Knocks, being able to kind of learn the lessons in life from other people, because that in itself, it's like you're interviewing someone who's got 20, 30 years experience. He's exited a company for $50 million. It's like that person has so much untapped expertise that can be given to other people. And another thing that's interesting too is a lot of people will ask us like, why don't you guys necessarily only, post like really, because we've got to the point now where it's like, if you land like a Grant Cardone, you can get just about any celebrity entrepreneur that you want, but I will always love the grassroots style of just going up to have conversations with random people. It's something that I will always do while I'm still doing the interviews. I mean, I don't know how much longer that will be. It'll be for a while. I love doing it, but you just, things will come and go. I have no intention of stopping anytime soon, but I love that style because we've been able to meet some fascinating people that have sold companies for over $1 billion. And that turns into relationships. And that's a big thing, is like, we are huge on the people that we meet. We get their contacts. We go get lunch with them, and we really find ways that we could potentially work together. It may not be now. Maybe it could be, I'm helping them out with something now. I'm helping them out with content or doing something now, but really big on providing value for people. And that's a big thing as far as like networking goes, is a lot of people don't realize that the only way that you're going to be able to stay in, because it's one thing to like get in the room, but like to be able to stay in, is like you have to find a way to provide value for people. Because otherwise, if you're in there, bro, people, they're not going to want to be around you. And I've learned that just from being around various groups of people and just different levels of people, that like, if you're just there to be there and to just consume and take up space, bro, you're going to be out of there real quick.
Dude, that's a great point. Cause I saw this Alex Hormozy video yesterday, and it resonated with me. He was saying like a lot of people will hit him up and be like, hey man, I'd love to work for you for free. And Alex Hormozi in his mind is like, same thing with me. I have a lot of kids that hit me up. They're like, yo, I'd love to work for your company for free. I just want to learn. I'd be like, all right, well, I'd love to not have you work for me for free because it's going to take up more of my time or your time or Alex Hormozi's time to teach someone how to do something. You need to figure out how to bring value right away. And what he said, his perspective on this, his reasoning behind his response was, me coming into your life makes your life way better. That gives you a huge advantage. You coming into my life doesn't do anything for me. So I feel like if you are going to try and find a mentor or connect or network with successful people, you need to have some way of providing value. And it's even like this podcast right here. Like if I were to hit up, and some of the guys I've had on in the past, some of the guys I plan on having on, if I were to hit them up or if I were to DM you, I'd be like, yo, do you want to talk on the phone for 2 hours? Just talk about life and business? Fuck no. Like people don't have time like that. But if I say, do you want to come on the podcast? That provides value to you because you get to, everyone loves to talk, but you get to like expand your personal brand. You get additional exposure. So if you are going to try and connect and network with people, you have to bring something to the table. I think that's a great point. How many people would you say you've interviewed in total?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000?
Yeah, because we don't necessarily like post everybody, especially as the channel's gone on. Like our standard,
those are the best ones for sure.
Yeah, our standard of content's just gotten significantly like higher. But I've easily interviewed over 1,000 people, no question. I was gonna say like we're super efficient too. Like we'll go to Los Angeles for like 4 days, and like in one day we make it like 20, 30 interviews. So we're very efficient, and we're like very go.
Is there one person or experience that sticks out most in your mind where you were just like, wow, that was a cool guy to meet? Or like, wow, there was one video I saw the other day about I don't remember the guy's name, but there was one that I saw that I was like, this is the coolest interview I've seen that you've done.
Yeah.
He had AirPods in, Hispanic looking dude. I think he said he started a company. I'm trying to remember the dollar amount because maybe that would give you an idea. But I guess we'll go back to the original question. Like, is there anyone that you've interviewed out of the, over 1,000 plus people that have stuck out the most?
Well, that's a great question. I can tell you like one funny story that we did have. We were doing a YouTube video where in like Westlake Hills, which is like one of the wealthier neighborhoods like in all of Texas. It's in Austin. You got guys like Michael Dell, Matthew McConaughey, just really big people that like live in this community, co-founders of multi-billion-dollar companies. And one of the houses that we went up to the door, guy comes down and he's in a Versace robe. And this guy's in a compound, like he's in a massive house.
And you just door knocked?
Door knocked.
Okay.
Door knocked. He came out and we ended up doing like a full 15-minute interview like on his Porsche.
That's
this
sick.
Guy's brother owns the Texas Rangers, who's in the World Series, and then the Dallas Stars. He owned like a radio broadcasting media company that he sold for several hundred millions of dollars, and he made like over 50 million in 1 year when he sold it. And he did like the entire interview like in his robe. And I found out later that he's actually a partner. He's like on the board at like YouTube. So that was a crazy experience. And that's the thing is, I go back to, we were talking about this earlier, about like when you do decide to create content and you find your niche, you have to be an innovator in whatever niche that you're in. So like for us, for example, when we started doing like street interviews, we would, that's where it started, but it's like, okay, now that everybody's doing it, how can we be different? So then we would literally just walk up to people and not even give them a pitch, but just start asking them questions. And then
you guys have a great way of asking questions. Yeah. That's the one thing I've noticed is you guys don't say like, hey, do you mind if we take a second of your time? It's kind of like right in.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we do interviews on how to be successful.
I'll give you the pitch right now.
Yeah. What do you say?
So, excuse me, sir. My name is James. I go all over the country. I'm based in Austin, Texas, just asking people a few questions on their advice to the younger generation. We grew a channel to over 2 million followers. We'd love to ask you a few quick questions for the channel.
See, that's such a great pitch because most of the time, 99% of the time, when someone comes up to you, it's asking you for something, right? And it's like, you just like, get away from me, right? But that's, I feel like a lot of successful people, they do actually want to give back and share their information. So if you pitch it right.
They do. And the pitch is extremely important too. It's like if you go up to somebody like kind of like, sir, like 100%. you got to go up to them like confidently, like that you have like an agenda and like that you want, so that's the thing too, is it's like if you're, and that's with sales, that's with anything, is like confidence is like super important in that regard, that like you have to be like, very like established and like clean with like whenever you're going to like ask someone for something.
I have a 2-part question. First, what's like the rejection percentage? Do you ever get someone that's like, no, fuck off?
Absolutely. It depends on where we are. It depends on the city, the environment. So like when we go like door to door, like houses, even people that may, would do it in the street, it's a lot harder to like go to their home and do it.
They give you a look. They're like, can I help you?
Yeah, they're like, can I help you? Or like, what are you doing? You know? So I would say, and the cities also depends too, right? Because you go to like Austin, I feel like people embrace that here. They embrace the entrepreneurship. But there's other places, like I feel like it's maybe a little bit harder in like LA. People are a little bit more like reserved and hold off. They don't like to talk about personal money as much.
Definitely.
Whereas like if you go to Miami, like people are going to be capping, or they're going to be, more than happy to talk about it. So I would say when we're just like out on like the street, like in downtown Austin or Westlake Hills, like in like a shopping center, I'd say it's definitely a lot better now just because of like how much sharper we are. The one thing that does scare people is like the amount, like, because we have to tell people straight up, like, hey, we've got over 2 million followers, because we've been sent cease and assist letters to take videos down from people.
Really?
That's the thing, bro. A lot of times, especially older people, they don't realize how much reach these videos are actually.
Why would someone want to remove like the interview you had with them?
I don't know. So there's a lot of things that could go into it. People may not have been necessarily telling the truth, or people just, maybe they were in a certain job where they can't disclose certain things, or they closed a deal, or they sold a company and they weren't supposed to say the amount of money. So like that's where it comes from, to where, and it's not even necessarily them, but it's like their attorneys or whatever it may be, that it's like, no, you need to take this video down. So that has happened. And so that's why we have to be fully transparent about like how many followers the channel has, just because of that potential of like them getting like legit global exposure, that like we don't want that to come back. And, because we've got DMs from people that's like, hey, if you don't take it down, we're gonna take legal action. Well, it's like, well, then don't do the fucking interview.
Yeah. Well, do you know who Chip Wilson is?
I've heard the name.
Founder of Lululemon.
Okay.
I just saw a clip of him in an interview yesterday. I don't know when the interview was. It must have been recent. But apparently, like, Bloomberg did an interview with him. And in the interview, he admitted to lying to the SEC. He was like, yeah, back when I was the founder of Lululemon, or back when I was the CEO, like, I lied to the SEC to like get us out of a lot of money. And then at the end of the clip, the interviewer's like, what'd you lie about? He's like, that's all I'm going to say. And then it ends. And then there's like a thing that comes on the screen, some text that says like, a few days after this interview, like his legal team reached out to us and said that he was lying.
Yeah.
But clearly he wasn't. Right. They just were like, damage control. Yeah. Like, how do we stop this from really hurting us? So I get it. It makes sense. But
I was going to say, just to like, because I don't think I answered it, but like to answer your question as far as like the rejection rate, it really depends. I would say if we're out in like the city or like in like the street, I'd say it could be anywhere from like 60 yes to 40 no, or 70 yes to 30 no. There's other times it could be reverse. When you do go out to like, I do like try to film like a houses video in like the hidden hills, you get in like a gate to where there's like $20 million mansions, it gets a lot harder. So I'd say it's like one of like every like 30 maybe that like you'll get. So it's, really? But that's the thing, is it's all numbers game. It's all volume. And sometimes like you're making a YouTube video, you really just need 3 to 4 really good interviews. You throw some rejection in there and like you got a great YouTube video.
Bro, volume is actually the secret, the key to everything.
Volume negates luck.
Yes, bro. Whether it's like dating, media. I mean, bro, I posted over 4,400 TikToks, I think. I've made probably over 8,000. I only post like half them. And some people like hear about like the videos blowing up. They go, oh, I could make YouTube videos, or oh, I could make TikToks. I'm like, could you? Because I sit there, I make 20 a day, and then I pick the best 8.
Yep.
And people just say, that's why I also brought up like dating. People think like the first date they go on is supposed to be successful, or the first girl that they go up to, or guy, whatever, and like ask for their number. If it doesn't work, they give up, they quit. You need to do it over and over and over. Every single person that I've met that's really successful says the same thing, and that's that it was rejection after rejection after rejection. And the ones that end up succeeding are the ones that just don't care. And they're like, all right, one no, that's one no. Now I have 25 more until I get a yes. You know, it's like a game.
Yeah, I always say that going viral is like hitting the lottery. Creating consistent content is like investing in your future. Yeah. Just like you said, early on when you're starting out especially, you need to be putting out, I'd say, multiple pieces of content a day. When you get to a certain point where it's like you can put out a video a day, but it's like when you're starting out, it's all quantity. And I always say, unless you're creating like Steven Spielberg, like quality, like content, people that'll make like the films on short form. It's like you have the ability to create, to post a video like once a week or maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. I'm always striving for people to do more because of the quality of the content that you're creating. But it's like, if you're making like talking head videos or fitness content or beauty or interviews, it's like you need to be early on. That's the only way you're going to grow, because these platforms are so saturated now. It's harder than ever to start and grow a channel now, in my opinion, than it ever has been.
Fully agree. That's actually I don't have really any regrets about anything in my life, except I wish I would have started earlier.
Yes.
Because
that 2019 TikTok.
Yeah.
I wish I would have started TED account.
Bro. You'd be at 5 million. I'd be at over 1 million easily if we started 1 or 2 years earlier. Because because everyone that's on TikTok today, most of them were on TikTok back then, but everyone was afraid of posting. There was a few people who had this is what I think. There's a few people that had no friends, so no one to shit talk them. So they just were like, fuck it, I have nothing to lose. And they started posting. And those were the guys that became big TikTok.
You know that. And we talked about this earlier, that it's like, if you were to go out there and try and do a trend, you didn't have any followers and people saw it, you were going to get clout for it. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's like getting over that fear. And that's why it's just so important to anybody like watching. It's like, you got to get over that fear. Cause it's like you said, you've built a channel with hundreds of thousands of followers, just like I have. It's like, once you have that, people can't say anything to you about how corny you are. Cause it's like, bro, the results speak for themselves. The millions of views, the millions of likes, it's like, that speaks for itself. And once you get there, it's like, can't nobody say anything to you.
They really can't. They could try, but it looks dumb. I was visiting some boys the other day. I was at a little pregame, and this dude that I had known in college, I was never really friends with him, but he, what did he say to me? He's like, "Oh, Mr. TikToker." And it was in a condescending way. And I was like, "Oh yeah?" And I just looked at him and I smiled and I nodded my head. And he was like, "I mean, yeah, I didn't mean it like that. I mean, I've been drinking a lot today. Sorry, bro." He apologized immediately, but people did definitely no one ever to my face, similar like you, but people did talk shit behind my back for sure. I'm sure of it.
It would probably get back to you in one way or another.
Yeah, and I would hear and I'd be like, all right, they didn't say it to my face because they didn't.
They know better. They know better.
Yeah. But okay, so I have another question kind of on that topic. I think a lot of people tend to think that wealthy and successful individuals are evil. I think it's a disease of poor people assuming that somebody else with more than them is bad or evil. The rich are evil. The rich don't want us to succeed. In my personal experience, if you just come at it the right way, people with the most are usually willing to give the most. Whereas I know a lot of individuals who have nothing, who are extremely bitter and sour and get away from me. But then I know a lot of successful individuals that are yeah, I'm happy to help you out. Just let me know what you need. You've talked to, once again, thousands of them. What's your opinion on that? In your experience, are wealthy people, what's the word? Do you feel like they're
the wealthier the people, the more willing they are to help you out a lot of the time. Now there are going to be those times where people that it's they've made it, they fucked off, they don't really want to necessarily give back. But I've found that especially there's some of the most inviting people, some of the people that are the biggest connectors, that they really want to find a way to help you succeed, because what it was is they were once where you were.
Exactly.
So it's when they see that, as long as you have that ambition and the drive, and they can see that you really are wanting to be successful, and people will take you places that money can't. I'm a big believer in that. And the 100%. More that you can get around proximity of money, the more that you can get around cities like Austin. I'm a huge advocate of leaving your hometown. Genuinely get around money, because if you go and you live in a city like Miami, right? Everywhere you look around, there's billions of dollars, billion-dollar buildings. You go to a coffee shop, the chances of there being a billionaire there, as opposed to being Des Moines, Iowa. No shade to Iowa, but I'm saying if you're from a small city, it's you got to get out and get around money, and you'll realize that you can just go start a conversation with these people, and a lot of the time they are more willing to help you than anybody. Success leaves clues, and those are some of the most willing and able people that they want to help other people around them win.
Absolutely. And it's usually because they've gotten a lot of help themselves, so they want to give back. I know I've gotten a lot of help, and that's why I try and make content, and obviously I do benefit from it. But same with you, you want to try and share as much valuable information as possible. And yeah, if people are just willing to go out and ask, you'll probably get rejected a lot, but you might find something valuable, but you have to be willing to do it first. And I feel so many people are unwilling to change anything and everything about their life And that's what you have to do if you want to be successful, right? It's like, I always say this, if you're a high school basketball player or a high school football player and you want to go play D1 or in the NFL or whatever, you're not going to be training with your high school teammates. Like, you're going to be going to camps over the summer with other studs. You're going to be maybe even hiring like a private coach if you can, if you have the resources to do so, right? If you want to succeed, you have to be around other successful people. And most of the time, if you're from like a small town, you're not going to find that there. And you need to take that big step and move somewhere else. As far as being able to network with other successful people, I personally feel like that all comes down to making yourself the person that people want to meet, as opposed to like saying the right thing or acting the right way. What do you think about that?
So when it comes to kind of like just like being able to like meet the right people.
Yeah. So many people DM me and say, so many people DM me and they say, how do I network better? Yeah. How do I meet the right people to be successful? And my answer is always like, it's not like something you specifically say or like how you word something. It's who you are.
Right.
Like, you need to work on yourself so much to the point where people can just sense like this is a well put together person, and then the opportunity is kind of just going to come your way. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah,
I've been very
it's
lucky
just like
with
you
that.
said, like take care of what you can at that point in time. Like, I'm a big believer in fitness and self-improvement. And it's like when you go into a room and you're in shape, like people genuinely, they want to be around you. They want to talk to you. It's like if you go in there, you got shit posture, you haven't worked out in 3 months, your diet's been terrible, and you're out of shape. Bro, people, especially people that are hitting on all cylinders that like take that stuff seriously, it's like, bro, they're going to write you off immediately. You know, when you are around those people too, I've noticed like you have to, sometimes I've been in conversations with people that like all like meet that have, you know, 9-figure businesses. Sometimes you just shut up and listen, and take everything in that you can. And I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make, is that it's like they're there to try to get that expertise.
What do I say? How can I impress this person?
Yes.
It's like, no, dude, just shut up, ask good questions.
Yeah. Now, when you're trying to close a deal, that's one thing. It's like never be the one in the room that doesn't say anything, because people do note that, and that's super important. And it's something that I've realized, and I've been there before, where it's like, oh man, but like, so when you're at that point where it's like, okay, you built a relationship and you're starting to like collaborate and see like how we can close, and you're working with big people, it's like you got to be able to like offer something.
There does definitely need to be a good balance. That's such a great point that actually I don't even think I've brought this up in any of my content yet.
Talk about that, bro. Seriously, do not be the one in the room that doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
People will notice it. And because I've noticed it with just other people, but just, I'm also a believer that like sometimes like just shut up and listen. And like when you get into the room, it's like when you first get into the room, it's like that's almost like how you have to be. And just take in as much, be a sponge and take in as much as you can from them, and then apply. But yeah.
I was at this like entrepreneur retreat dinner the other day. I got invited by someone I had met through social media. I was the youngest one there. I'm 22. The second youngest guy there was like 27. The oldest guy was 45. Most of these guys, it was all men. All of them were like built, like they all worked out. They were all successful in their own fields, everything from health and wellness to tech. And there was a couple of media guys there as well. And that's one thing I noticed, is there was the guy who was talking way too much. Essentially, it was like 12 dudes around this big dinner table. And the host, the guy who owned the house, asked us like these very poking questions, trying to encourage arguments, trying to encourage dialogue and then discourse between everyone. And what I noticed was there was like 1 or 2 guys that were talking way too much, and it pissed everyone else off. And then there was like one guy who didn't say a single word the entire time. And you have to be right in the middle, and there is a good balance. And it's a matter of not bragging or flexing or whatever, but in my opinion, it's asking good questions. And then when someone, answers your question, you give a good response. Like me asking you something about what you do for a living, you answer, and then instead of me trying to like compete with you and saying, oh yeah, me too, a good response could be like, oh, I love that you said that, bro. I completely agree. And then you kind of bring up something on your own. But you do need to find that balance of, not bragging, asking good questions, and just getting people to tell you about them, getting them to like you 100%. I have a good question for you. So this is actually one of the questions that was brought up at that entrepreneur retreat dinner. And now I've been implementing it into every single podcast I do. But what is one thing that you hold to be true that everyone else would certainly disagree with? So like, what is one of your deepest beliefs that you're like, if I say this, like most people will be like, no fucking way? It's a very challenging question.
That's a challenging question to think about on the spot. I like it though. We may have to come back to this.
No worries. Do you want to hear mine?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe this will inspire your answer a little bit. But when they asked it, my response was, if you don't have something, you don't deserve it. And it's everything in life. It's that beautiful relationship you've always been wanting, right? That beautiful wife who like loves you and treats you like the amazing guy you are. It's that car you've always wanted, that house. It's those genuine friendships. It's the amount of money in your bank account. It's your career. I truly believe, and some people think that this is like depressing. I think it's motivating.
Yeah.
Because I believe if I don't have something yet, it's just because I don't deserve it. I haven't done enough. And so once again, whatever it is that I'm trying to go for, I think in my mind, if I just keep doing, and if I keep working on myself, if I keep working hard, if I keep sacrificing, I will get that thing. And the fact that I don't have it yet just means I haven't done enough for it, which encourages me and motivates me to work even harder.
I love it. You gave me mine, by the way.
Okay, let's hear it.
You gave me it. I'm a big believer that no one is coming to save you. And I hate entitlement. And I think a big thing you see in business a lot of the time is someone will hire somebody that ends up fucking something up, and they'll immediately blame that person. It doesn't matter what they did. It's your fault. You hired them.
I 100% agree.
I'm a huge believer in taking responsibility and realizing that when I go back to saying like no one's coming to save you, is that like nobody's coming to hand you the money to do what you want to do. It's like you need to take initiative and have urgency. There's no urgency anymore. Like in customer service, it's like I'm tired of just like people that just they don't move. They got to act. Yeah. This is something that Grant Cardone talked a lot about when I was like interviewing him. It's just like you need to like if this building were burning down right now, it's like you would fucking roll. You'd run out of here. And it's like super important to like have that initiative to go and build a life that you want and realize that no one else is going to do it for you. You know, a lot of these massive entrepreneurs, some people, they came from family, but a lot of the time it's like, nah, they acted. They took the initiative. And so I'm a huge believer in knowing that no one is coming to save you.
I fully agree with that. And I think a lot of people would disagree with that, which is why it's such a true statement.
Yeah.
You know, I've been blessed with the opportunity to meet a lot of really successful people, and same with you. And one thing that I've noticed is all of the really successful people that seem like they just have it figured out, I never hear them complain. Whereas on the opposite side of the spectrum, I've also met a lot of people that are like, I can't catch a break, and this person screwed me over. And I even have some family members who like have started businesses or tried to do something, and they're like, yeah, they screwed me over this and taxes that and all this, and all they do is complain. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, you are such a negative person. Like all you do is bitch and moan. Of course, opportunity hasn't come your way. Like why would it want to be around? I think of opportunity as like a physical person. If you are a negative, like just complainer, why would it want to be around you? Why would it want to give you anything and help you?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is you have to be attractive to money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just like you said, like if you're, oh, what was me? The world's going to pass you by.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is like, I feel like especially like younger people, they feel like super entitled, that like they're owed this because someone else
Everyone's
has it,
entitled these days.
Crazy. So like, yeah, I think that would probably be something that I would like I would die on that hill.
Yeah.
That I'm a big believer in that, especially like taking ownership.
Yeah.
Like you somebody messed up in your business, you're the one that hired that person. So at the end of the day, what could you have done better? Don't look at them. You know what they could have done, but like genuinely, like you were the root of it though. You brought that person in. Like what could you have done better to fix that?
And see, that's the thing. I had this, my college essay actually was titled Blame Yourself. And it pretty much explained exactly what you're saying. Like everything that goes wrong in your life, even if it really wasn't attributed to you, maybe it was bad luck, try and figure out a way of why and how you can blame it on you. And like, I made a video this one time where I said, if you get cheated on, it's your fault. And so many people got mad. They were like, that's the fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's your fault. You picked a bad person. And you know, you did. Like, and I've been cheated on before. I picked someone, I ignored red flags. And that's my fault.
Point.
And I can either complain about her, oh, that girl's a bitch and she did this to me and that, and then it'll happen again. But if I take ownership and I say like, you know what, I ignored red flags. I saw this coming. I chose to see it through because I wanted to give someone a chance, or I thought it couldn't happen to me because of my ego and my, my pride. Then it'll happen again if I don't take accountability. So I fully agree with you on that. Let's move to the next question. I have another good one.
Yeah.
I think so many people out there like see a guy like you and they're like, damn, bro, you're young, you're making a ton of money, you're really successful. What does it take to get there? What have you had to sacrifice? I know when we were at lunch a second ago, I was kind of asking you about like, what part of your life have you had to put on hold? Did you feel like you missed out on anything? What does it take?
I have lost my fucking mind. And I mean that. And if you look at any like massive entrepreneur, I think Musk is a perfect example, but you can go levels below him at his level. They've lost their mind to building what they're doing. And in the sense of like with us, we always say it's like we've lost our mind to the street interview culture, to where no matter where I went, whether I went to Jersey Mike's, Subs, an ice cream shop, I would see someone in there that looked like they had something to say, and I would pull him out from when he was eating with his family to interview that person. That's what you have. That's what it takes ultimately. And for us, we loved creating the content. We loved that kind of like, it wasn't normal. That's what it was. It wasn't normal. But we realized that like, oh man, if we pulled this guy out, this guy could get a couple 100,000 views. This guy could get 1 million views. So I think that you almost have to lose your mind to doing something what you love. You're building a clothing brand, a podcast, a media company, a personal brand. Like you have to like get almost sick about it. It's like, if you think about like the people that make it to like the MLB, right? Every little kid wants to be a professional baseball player when they grow up. The kids who made it to the MLB, they were sick in the head, like genuinely, like you could ask them, it's like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a professional baseball player. No, but like if that doesn't work out, like what are you going to be? I'm going to be a professional baseball player. Yeah,
100%. I love that you said that.
Yeah,
that's so
have
true.
That goes with any sport, but just any person at that level is like you have to like in a sense. I love that it's like you have to lose your mind a little bit to whatever you're doing.
You have to be delusional in a way.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to have such delusion that like you in your mind. I'm sure you feel the same way, but in your mind, no matter what anyone says to you, you could even have someone like Grant Cardone or Mark Cuban tell you to your face, you're not cut out for this, bro. And in your head, you would probably think like, this guy's such an idiot, bro. I'm so going to make it. Like you have this unwavering delusion or confidence in a way, but other people will label it delusion.
I love that. Delusion is very true. But I think beyond that, it definitely does come down to sacrifice. I was going to one of the top public universities in the country, and all the times always invited out to like the bars or
big
clubs
parties
and stuff like
tons
that.
Of fun, tons of
distractions. Yeah. And it was just like, to me, I knew I wanted more. I never liked the concept of the 4-year experience. I always grew up hearing cousins and people tell me, oh man, you're gonna have the best 4 years in your life. No, the best 4 years of my life is gonna be when I'm in Italy off the Amalfi Coast, like on a yacht. It's like, no, that's the best years are ahead. And I've always believed that. And again, I attribute a lot of that to seeing the world at an early age, that it always made me want more. It made me want to be able to do that whenever. I didn't want to have to ask a boss for permission for a week out of the year and ask for some unpaid leave to go see another country. It's like the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if you truly like build something yourself. So I think just sacrificing, giving up, cutting the play. You know what I mean? And having like real like urgency with what we were doing and trying to build it, just being more consistent than anybody I know. It doesn't matter where I would be. I could be on a train, in an airport, especially like when I was starting out on my main account, not even Hard Knocks. I would get 3 posts up every single day. I didn't miss a day for 120 days in a row. And that's what it takes, honestly.
There's no days off. I think that's what so many people get wrong is they see like someone young with money or whatever, and they think, damn, that looks so cool. There's no days off. Like you work every day, all day, I'm assuming, right?
All day. There's times
but you like it though.
There's times where I'm up packaging a YouTube video to like 4 or 5 a.m.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter if I was with the girl that night. Like I don't care where I am. Like I'm getting it done. And it's like if I don't get, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Now I say that I'm a big believer in like you need rest to sleep to perform at like a high level. But that's the mentality that you have to have and have ingrained in you that like if you say you're going to get something done by then to your team, get it done. I don't care if it's late. I don't care if you have to sacrifice or struggle. Like you owe that to them, you owe that to your team to like get that done. So I'm a big believer in that.
Hell yeah, dude. And have you seen, I mean, you're obviously doing very well. Like, how does your brand make money right now? You kind of explained it to me earlier, but could you go over it again? Like what are all the different ways that your channel and your personal brand bring in income?
Absolutely. So, we started out the channel You don't have a ton of followers, a big brand or big credibility. So, we relied pretty heavily on like ad revenue. And even then, when you're first starting out, you're not making a lot, but we were very savvy with getting into a lot of like lucrative like monetization programs. So for example, people don't realize, but like I think it was No Jumper, the company owned by Adam 22.
Oh, yeah.
They make $1 million a month off of Facebook every single month.
Really?
And people
off
don't
of views.
Off of just Facebook ad revenue. There's some
wild.
CPMs and RPMs on Facebook that will pay you more than YouTube. So you could literally for a 5-6 minute video on Facebook get paid more dollars per 1,000 views than you could offer like a YouTube video. So when you realize that, it's like a lot of these platforms, they're competing against one another to keep creators creating content. Because at the end of the day, like take Facebook, that's the only shot that they have of being relevant. Because I know that once our parents' generations, like our generation is not going to be on Facebook. They're not, unless they innovate. And that's what they have to do. So what are they doing? They're trying to give money to creators. So it's being diversified with your content. So we would post on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, everything. And another thing too is like even Snapchat, they had Spotlight. I had a couple videos where I'd make $10,000 off of a short form video because
I heard Snapchat pays.
Snapchat pays a lot of fucking money, and that's the thing. So make sure that you're diversified on every platform. So ad revenue was big. Brand deals. We did a lot of brand deals. Being in our niche, we'd have software companies, we'd have tech companies, tech startups, real estate brokerages that would. So you're going to get a lot better like brand deals with those types of companies. It's just like the niche that you're in is going to pay you a lot more if it's a business type niche,
definitely,
as opposed to like a beauty or fitness, right? Because the people that are advertising, they have a lot more money and they know that it's more legit viewers. So ad revenue was huge, brand deals, a little bit of game to people, but like if you are looking for brand deals, right, a big thing that people I see that where they really go wrong is when they reach out to brands, they make it about me. You want to make it about them as much as possible. So when you're reaching out to them, you talk about, yes, how the brand fits into your life, but how ultimately you're going to give them the best return. So we've had a lot of inbound brand deals. We've worked with some cool brands and have landed some pretty like big brand deals over the last like 2 years. And then recently, because ad revenue is great, brand deals are great. I'm a big believer that your monetization needs to get off the platform, because TikTok could go tomorrow and then boom, we lose 1 million followers. And just like anybody that has a big platform on there, that could be gone.
Dude, it did.
Right.
It just changed. Here, yeah. I'll let you finish up, then I'll explain.
Yeah, but TikTok or
yeah.
Okay.
Wait, here, do you want to finish what you were saying?
Yeah, I'll finish, and then I got to hear this. But you can literally, that platform can be gone, and you lose all the data on your audience, but then that stream of income, if that's what you're planning on monetizing off of, is gone. So getting off the platforms and whatever that may be. So for us, we started like an agency. So because we've generated over 900 million views in 3 years, we know that we can scale just about any type of content, because I've done fitness stuff. I've done a ton of different stuff on my personal content that I've been able to go viral, and we scaled other accounts. And so we found that personal brands were really our like bread and butter in helping these entrepreneurs, that they are great businessmen. And this is another thing too, is what I've learned 90% of the time, great content creators are terrible businessmen. Great businessmen are terrible content creators. And you see this a lot. Why do you think all these like 8 and 9 figure entrepreneurs, they have several 100,000 fake followers? I think that is the most fucked up and dumbest thing ever. All the entrepreneurs that have like 100, they have 100K. They've never gotten a video to get 1,000 views in their life.
Dude, I get followed probably 5 times a day by some, and I know it's fake right away when it says I help 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs like achieve this or whatever,
and they get like 70 likes on that.
You go through their video. They have 339,000 followers, and then you go. There's one this morning that did that, and then you go and you look at their go look through their videos, 79 likes.
It's deception, bro. I think it's disgusting in my opinion. Like just how much people are like.
Dude, there's so many fucking fakes out there these days, bro, and it's hard to know. You really have to like look deep sometimes, because people are getting really good at it. But about like the being adaptable thing, I 100% agree, because even with a platform like TikTok, for example, in my situation, I was getting 8 to 10,000 a month from TikTok from views, which is pretty good for one platform at my size. And then all of a sudden they rolled out TikTok Shop, right? I'm sure you've heard about TikTok Shop. I was getting paid from the creativity program, right? Creative program. I was making all that money, and then as soon as the shop feature comes out, they start pumping shop videos. They start giving less attention to the like average over a minute long videos, and they fucking tanked your RPM.
Yes.
So I went from making 8 to 10,000 a month to like $300 this month.
Yes.
And if you're not able to adapt, you're going to sink, right?
Yes.
And so now I had to figure out a way like, okay, I need to make content that's incorporating this shop feature. So I no longer make money off views for TikTok, but instead by like promoting my product and my business a lot. And 3 months from now, it'll probably change again. So it's definitely smart to diversify it and get into different platforms. That's why I'm really starting to hammer out this YouTube thing now. It's also a lot of fun, so I like it, but you're 100% right. I mean, like what different platforms? You're on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and you're doing Facebook now too?
Yeah, so we hit over 100K on YouTube and over 1 million on TikTok in the same month. We crossed that in this past October. We've got over 700K on Facebook, and then we're at like 650K on Instagram. So all of them. And the beautiful thing about that is just that each platform is its own audience, right? When we originally started Hard Knocks, we had set out to target younger people like high school, college. We found the majority of our followers are actually older. They're like 25 to 35. It's that age range of people that they got out into the real world. They didn't take college seriously. They got into a couple jobs and they're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? So now they're trying to really find actual assets. And we kind of say that we're in the bridging business, right? We're bridging other people to these experts, right? Because people may not necessarily perceive us as like the expert because we're interviewing people, but we're in the bridging business of like bridging people to those experts to find that. And so prime example why I'm a big believer in getting on all platforms is because Facebook, our demographics are going to be late 30s to 40-year-old people. Instagram's going to be more millennials, like, mid to late 20s to, 30s. And then TikTok's going to be perhaps a bit younger, but still within, I'd say, older 20s. And then there's still percentages of like high school, college kids that follow. But it's just, and that's the whole reason why we set out to target the younger kids is because there's so much crap on social media genuinely. And that like, the way that people, it's those quick dopamine hits that they like, but it's like if we could find a way to provide some like value for people to where they could actually like get something like out of it, it's like we wanted to be able to do that.
Dude, and I think you guys are doing a great job. I think when TikTok started, it was all dancing and music sounds and whatever, because it was Musically. But now there's so many different subsections under the umbrella of TikTok. You have like fitness TikTok. You have you still have your dancing and trend TikTok. You have entrepreneurship TikTok, which is what you and I are both a part of. And I think it's really growing. I think people are really finding it valuable. I've been meaning to ask you actually, you guys don't sell like a course or anything, right?
No.
Okay, so I think that's actually sick. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with a course if you're really providing value, but there's so many fake ones out there. And honestly, you could make with your audience. If you guys made a course that was like, I've interviewed 1,000+ millionaires. Like, this is what I've learned. You charge $199 for it. You'd be a multimillionaire in 48 hours. I guarantee it.
So,
but I really respect that you guys haven't done that.
So we actually did build a course on how to go from 0 to 100,000 followers in a year. It's a long course. There's a ton of value in it. We've been really hesitant to push. I'm not necessarily against like the courses. The problem is that whole like guru, the wisdom economy, as I like to call it. I like to call it the wisdom economy, is coaching businesses. It got such a bad reputation because what would happen is you'd have people that would build e-commerce stores and they would make significantly more money selling the course on how to build and grow a store. And they never really built a profitable e-commerce store. And I always had a problem with that. And I just never
a lot of guys.
I never liked the rep that it got. And so even with us is like, and people genuinely hate people that sell courses because they just think that they're scammers. And I've met some extremely successful people that have legitimately built and exited companies that now they sell something. Anytime people like see that we'll like interview someone that is selling something, they immediately, it's like, no, red flag. So that's why like we really have to find a healthy balance when we're interviewing people of like interviewing those like old finance guys, the old oil and gas guys, the old money that aren't, because people love that. People like that, where it's like the younger people that may be selling something or people, that raises a lot of red flags.
There's a couple guys that ruined it for everybody.
Yes.
And they introduced, who was the first one?
Ty Lopez. Yeah,
he comes to Ty Lopez. I love that you knew that right away. Dude, here in my garage, he started a pandemic.
Yeah.
Honestly, he started a pandemic that has infected everybody. And, there's a lot to gain from it. Like, I'm a huge believer in like, if you can get good information from someone, pay them, right? If I could pay Mark Cuban $10,000 to sit down with him for an hour and a half, 2 hours, I would totally do it. Right. I'd write out the best list of questions and I'd record the whole thing. So not only I could get value, but my people could get value too, my audience. That's totally worth it in my mind. But you just never know. You never know if a course is legit or not until you buy it, and then you could be fucked. So, but that brings up kind of my last question. We're almost done here. What is next for you personally and for the School of Hard Knocks?
Yeah. So long term, the big thing for the School of Hard Knocks is to really build the Barstool Sports of business content. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
so with that, we've got about 2.3 million collective followers now. I think a lot of things that people get wrong about Barstool is not a media company. They're a media ownership company. So essentially 95% of the content that they put out, they do not create. So what they've done is they built the parent company, the Barstool Sports, and they find young talent to run all these different subpages. So what we're going to do at Hard Knocks is the main channel's got 2.3 million followers, get to 3 to 5 to 10 million. And as we're doing that, go get other young talent, bring them in to build out Hard Knocks Finance, Hard Knocks Sports, where you're talking about the contracts and the business side of sports, Hard Knocks, whatever. And like just build out Hard Knocks Real Estate, right? Build out tons of subpages and build a massive media empire that's able to where you can build that out in a newsletters and you start to just own all this data on your audience to where you could eventually sell that for a couple $100 million. Because that's the thing is like newsletters and media companies, they exit for like 10 to 15x, whereas like an agency can maybe sell for like 2 to 3x like the revenue that it's doing. So whereas like an agency, and that's what we're running now, is great for like short-term cash flow. It's a lot harder to like, you're not going to be able to, you can grow an agency, but it's going to be harder to like sell and like live off that for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Whereas like if you can build out a legit media empire, own all the data, vertically integrate it into all the different, things that you can do, then you can, do something like crazy with that. I think as far as, like what's next for us, we have some huge collabs coming. I won't say anybody just because like I am a big believer that like, don't make plans, make moves. So make it happen, and then it'll speak for itself. But like there's always times where like things could get set up, and then it just doesn't come into fruition. Yeah. But as long as you tap in with the School of Hard Knocks, people will see it for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, yeah, you guys should definitely go check out his page. I mean, it's a gold mine of information. Yeah. I think that's a brilliant method just for going to the next level. And I was actually talking. I'm thinking about starting a marketing / media agency as well ourselves. With 3 other guys just reached out to me a few days ago, and we're planning it out right now. And they brought up a really good point. They said that the 2 types of businesses that can create billion-dollar companies right now are obviously tech. Everyone knows that. But yeah, media is the big thing right now. And unfortunately, so many brilliant and smart minds only go into tech, right? And it leaves a lot of opportunity out there for media because kind of like you said earlier, once again, people that know how to grab views, know how to grab the attention of people, suck at business. Yes. So it's very rare when you get a guy like yourself that can do both of them. So I think that's incredibly impressive. And dude, I can't wait to see where you guys go. I mean, it's already at a huge level. I mean, the fact that you guys started this, 2.5 years ago?
Yes, bro. Yeah.
That's crazy. It's inspiring to me because I'm a year and a half right now in, and I'm getting to the point where I'm now fully diving in, expanding to other platforms. It's not just like short raw form content on TikTok, but other stuff. Yeah, dude, I can't wait to see what happens. And that's the beautiful thing about like doing a podcast and shit is even though I get this content that I can post, I get to meet so many cool people and become friends with them. And I honestly treat it as like a way to make connections and network myself. And then if it gets views on YouTube or something, that's kind of just the benefit. So yeah, I think that's a perfect way to end it. Actually, I'll ask you one more question. For someone out there who's our age, younger, a little older, and they have no idea where or how to start, and they're just like, I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to go this traditional route. What is the first step?
Great question. And I'll give a blueprint right now. My best advice that I always give to people, and it's one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard, is take the risk or lose the chance. And I'm a big believer in the third door policy. So you go to a nightclub and you try to get in through the front, they're not letting any guys in. You go to the back door, you try to go to that like side door to try and get in with the side bouncer, he doesn't let you in. You better find a fucking third way in. Third door your way into opportunities. You know what I mean? And genuinely, like I brought up take the risk or lose the chance because the most successful people in the world, you look at the top people on like the Fortune 500 list, they are willing to go into the negative millions of dollars. If they've been interviewed on this genuinely, and they all are willing to go into the negatives in order to be successful. So it's having that risk aversion. That's what really separates people apart when it comes to staying in the middle class and then actually like building wealth. Beyond that, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were asked separately, like in different rooms, what was the number one thing that made them successful, and it was focus. Yeah. So it really is finding something that you really do, that you like and enjoy, understanding the skills that you need, and then finding a way to provide value. But something that you brought up earlier, you brought up a great quote that I love, and this comes down to like when you do actually start, is I would much rather have a slice of the pie than, or let me say this again, I'd rather have a slice of the pie than like 100% of the grape, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that. And like you have to learn that number one best advice that I've ever received that's changed my business, it's changed everything that we've done: delegate to elevate. You need to learn how to delegate, right? And whether that's joint ventures. So for example, if you're a content creator and that's your bread and butter, focus on content. If you want to, being in social media and in content, like you said, you're always going to have people coming to you, pitch you to do this brand deal, to do this affiliate deal, to sell this product or whatever it may be. Like, I'm all about like vertically integrating your business to like doing like merch and stuff like that. But like, if you know that your bread and butter is content, like do a joint venture with somebody that's built a successful e-commerce store, that's built a successful apparel brand. Like if you're trying to like do all these different things, you're going to forget about what got you to the point that got you there when you do find that initial success, and it's not going to work. And then I guess I'll kind of end on this. I know this has been all over the place. There's a little bit of a blueprint right here, but this is advice. I posted a video, I think, on this recently, but like, do you know where the most valuable piece of real estate is?
Is it in your head?
It's in graveyards, because there's billion-dollar ideas sitting in the ground, sitting in the grave of people that never took action. You know what I mean? And so that it's like you have to act. Like you can watch all the podcasts, you can read all the books that you want, but the people that implement, the people that act, those are the people that make a difference, that make a change. And so that's kind of like the blueprint that I would do, where I would just say focus, act, get in, find third door your way in, do whatever it really takes to be successful. And I think that you'll be fine.
That's perfect. Okay, so let's go. Take risks, focus.
Yeah, ready? I got you. Take the risk or lose the chance. Delegate. Delegate to elevate, automate your business, right? Because, and this is another thing too that Grant Cardone preached, is great people. In order to get great people to come work for you, you got to get bigger, right? If you have 30 employees, you have a problem. If you have 3 employees, you have a problem. Walmart has 30,000 employees. They don't have a problem. You've got to bring it bigger. Great people, success attracts success. And the bigger that you can get, the more people that you're going to attract into your ecosystem. So it's genuinely like, you got to find a way to grow. Like he told us, it was the 3 of us that went out to see him. And he said that, he goes, yes, it's just you 3. And he goes, yeah, you guys got a problem. Because at the time, crazy. It's like, going into that, it's like, you think you're doing good, but he's absolutely right. Yeah. And that's the thing too. I'll end on this one. The absolute most successful people that I've ever been around, they could be worth, they've got businesses that are going to do 200-300 million this year. They'll net low 9 figures, or they'll net high 8 figures. They are the most uncomplacent people that I know, meaning it's like they're just never satisfied. They always want more. And you always hear people talk about, man, how I really want to make $100,000 this year. It's like, start thinking about how you can make 100 million, and then I guarantee you're going to make at least $1 million. Like you shoot for the stars, you land on the moon, or you shoot for the moon, you're going to at least land on a star. Yeah. And so I think like thinking bigger, that's like, you got to audit your beliefs and find a way to, the most successful people, they're normal people like us. A lot of them are dumber. They just figured it out. They acted. They figured it out and they took action.
Take risks, build a team, focus, delegate. Take action.
Yes.
I think that's perfect. And the last guy I had on said the same thing. He asked me, what's the number one reason that businesses fail or succeed? And I said, what? He goes, they don't hire, they don't fire. So it's the kind of
yes, and here it is. Ready? This is it. This is golden right here. On the lines of that, fire yourself from the business. You have to fire yourself. If you are in content, you can't be editing videos. If you have to film, I understand that, but like all the delegate minimum wage.
That's something activities. I'm trying to get better at myself. I'm finally figuring that out.
Delegate MWAs, delegate minimum wage activities. When you can do that and just focus on high level, high income producing things, bro, that is the golden thing. But fire yourself from the business. That's the best advice. But I don't care if you're growing an agency. I don't care if you're doing content, if you're in e-com, you need to fire yourself and just bring other people in to do those things,
Fuck yeah. Dude, perfectly said. Well, yeah, guys, School of Hard Knocks, James Dumoulin. I said that right again, right?
James Dumoulin.
It's
close enough. I like
James
it.
Dumoulin. Yeah. I'm going to add him in the description of the video. You guys got to go check out all of his pages. Dude, pleasure having you on. This has been absolutely amazing. I learned a lot myself once again.
I love it.
Hope everybody watching learned a lot. But yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Subscribe, leave a like, make sure to leave a comment if there's anything that you feel like we didn't touch. That way I can try and get to that next time. But fuck yeah, brother. Thanks again for coming on,
man. Thank you.
Peace, guys.